Adding weapons to a sci-fi game should be the easiest part of development. You make a model, set the variables and drop it into the loot pool. By building an indie game from scratch like I am, you quickly realize that variety is sometimes completely pointless, especially if the underlying systems aren't there yet. A month into the early access release on Steam, my game 3876 AD Corruption has exactly 2 guns. For a military sci-fi game, that sounds not like much at first glance. Welcome to OpenSplit, and if you like these casual development and commentary videos, please subscribe to the channel, and of course you can also check out my game over on Steam. Since this video is sort of a recap of the last few updates, let me quickly lay out the future plans before we dive into the design analysis. First, I'm releasing a second free version of the game on itch.io very soon. This gives you a zero risk way to playtest the game if you aren't sure about paying for it yet. That said, my development funds are running low, so I'm debating whether to launch a quick $5,000 Kickstarter or set up something like Patreon to keep the full-time development of the game alive. You can check out my weekly development updates and news surrounding the game over on Steam as well, or join my Discord channel, all of the links are provided below. As the second video for this week, we will take a look at Space Gum, which is sort of a sci-fi Battle Brothers spin-off. Definitely stay tuned for that. But now, let's find out why my game has only 2 guns. The problem with more guns is actually not quite about adding them. More guns means more assets and more effects you gotta do, of course, but it is also incredibly easy to fall into the asset trap during early development, because importing new models creates the illusion of rapid progress. So why add more guns if gunplay lacks an auto-firing mechanic, if the ammo is not interesting or reloading not that deep? But especially, why add more guns if there is really no reason to use them? Adding 10 more guns won't solve the problem. If the core loop isn't fun, then bloating the game with weapons will fix nothing. Instead of chasing asset inflation, I spend a lot of time on conceptualizing what the game is actually going to offer, which is a not so visible work process, and it's actually a bit hard to showcase. Right now, the main problem remains: what to use these guns for. Shifting a variable from a rifle to a plasma gun changes nothing if the player triggers the exact same tactical behavior. Instead of more assets, a raw project needs mechanical weight. You see, since then I added full auto firing, unique weapon ammunition types, realistic reloading mechanics and ammo refills at allied structures, but the underlying code, finally supporting a proper weapon system, still doesn't give a real reason to fight if the tactical encounters are just meaningless shootouts. Okay, here is how we can fix combat. For that we shift focus away from enemies and weapons over to the world itself. To build a true reason to fight, I simply started by adding a new multi-sector overworld. Walking towards the edge moves you to a new map. These sectors are currently very empty, but that's because I am in the middle of setting up procedural generation for them. Let me explain. You always start on an empty tile with absolutely no equipment, and every new sector you explore by walking across the edge of the map changes your global stats for power and troop count, all depending on what you will find there, of course. This turns the map layout into a sort of puzzle where losing power or troops creates tense global consequences. The procedural generation is actually quite simple. Each new sector you find can host enemies and allies, and each battle is contained within that sector, but the effects will have lasting consequences. With this simple trick, each run will have completely different map layouts. There is not just one solution, but only different strats based on your current situation. You will constantly calculate your risk, push out into the unknown and retreat back to nearby bases to restock on healing and ammo. This global tug of war concept is the exact reason why we do not need to add new weapons or armor yet. It's just too early. We need to make the overarching survival loop simple but entertaining first. If we can make shooting enemies fun despite only having 2 guns, then we are on the right track. Sometimes major framework changes like these take longer than just a single week of coding, which is why the current release is a checkpoint update, to showcase the progress. Right now it is entirely unfinished. There is no content or objective in the world map layout yet. Just empty, subliminal landscapes where walking over the edge just means walking across empty terrain forever. It is a raw sneak peek of the transition logic, and running it requires a manual save folder deletion to prevent startup glitches. The upcoming free second itch version will cover the basics of this game loop. It is not clear if that's going to be in a week or two, but you can always check out my weekly progress over on Steam, where I post all my updates. Anyways, that was long enough. Thanks so much for watching. You can tell me what you think about all of this. Are you more interested in fewer unique guns that actually feel and function differently, or are you more of a looter shooter type of person? Tell me in the comments below, and let's meet again in the next one. Bye!